Hi, everybody. Dr. Shad Diamond here. I've got some questions that I'm going to attempt to answer this time that came in by email from some of the followers I have that actually listen to my rhetoric. We've got one on timelines. There's another one on quantum wholeness and the fifth dimension. A dimension, as you may already know, is a state of consciousness, so it affects how you interact with the world. And then there's one on spirit communication, how to get good answers, and another one on moon landings, which to a certain degree kind of fits in with timelines. So let's start with spirit communication. When you're communicating with spirit, an answer from spirit is going to match the resonance of how your question is being asked. It's a vibrational matching kind of thing in consciousness. In other words, the quality of an answer is going to reflect the quality of the question that you're asking. So if you ask spirit something that requires, let's say, a fifth dimensional perspective in order to truly understand it, and you're asking from a third dimensional point of view, then you're probably going to get an answer that is not very satisfying. So in that case, you may want to think about how to reframe that question. So let's make up something to illustrate this point. What if you ask a question such as, will so-and-so ever love me? Sounds really high school, right? But that's the point, because it's a very third dimensional and probably ego-based question. Well, the answer could come back yes. The answer could also come back no. The answer could also come back yes and no. Because there are multiple answers in accordance to how this question is being asked. It could be, yes, this person will love you, but in another lifetime. The same answer could be no, not in this lifetime. Or it could be yes, when both of you have evolved to higher realms of consciousness, where love is felt by and for everyone. But then there's also the consideration that there are different types of love, such as the love of a parent is going to be different than the love that you would experience with a lover, or different than the love you would have for a newborn child or a puppy. So you see, the question itself is really kind of vibrationally wish-washy. Now, spirit may recognize that the vibration of your question is really one that's seeking fulfillment. And you might be told that it's an irrelevant question because it has nothing to do with that other person. Or you might get an answer that explains things like externalization and negative expectations and attachment to outcomes rather than synchronicity. And then you might say, but that's not the question I asked. But vibrationally it is. So rather than something like, will so-and-so ever love me, perhaps a better question would be, what do I need to do to feel loved? Okay, let's move on to the next one. How about moon landings? Are they real or are they not real? Did it happen? Did it not happen? Well, I'm guessing that you're having an assumption that there is only one way that things can be, which is a 3D perspective, because in the bigger picture, it's not like that at all. You're trying to seek out what you might call the truth about something through a limited mindset because there's more than one truth. There are multiple realities. There are as many truths as there are people on the planet, and that's because no one has the exact same evolutionary path as anyone else. You are a creator. You create your own reality by experiencing a particular focus of consciousness. So, was the moon landing a spoof? Yes, it was. Did people actually land on the moon? Yes, they did. Well, which is it? Well, both streams of consciousness exist and both are true. Are there bases on the other side of the moon? Yes, there are, unless you can't see them. then no. See, some people say that seeing is believing, but that's actually backwards. You are the creator, therefore believing causes you to see. It's an expression of consciousness. And what you base your truth on is what you experience. If you widen your focus, or even better, release your existing focus completely, and return to the quantum field of possibilities, where you would realize there are countless variations. When you focus on something specific from within the field of possibilities, it pulls you into that experience. In quantum physics, you could say it like this: you're collapsing a particular wave function of energy into the particle world, and it materializes as a reality. However, this also has to do with what you believe is possible, or even more accurately, what you feel is possible. If you believe something and feel it, you will attract to you the proof of that belief. So there could be two opposite beliefs, and for each one you'll find more than enough evidence to support both of these as being true. The same goes for timelines. You create what you want by lining up with something in the field of possibilities within a certain time frame. So when you look at the bigger picture, you'll see that all points in space-time are interconnected. All existence is a single unified consciousness. So you're not going to get what quantum wholeness is if you still hold a third-dimensional belief in separation. But from a higher position of consciousness, you can bend time. That would be a fourth-dimensional trait, by the way. So it means that time is an illusion. Time is bendable, but not in 3D, because in the third dimension, time is a constant. In the fourth dimension, a different state of consciousness, it is a variable. Space is also malleable, but that doesn't happen until your consciousness is focused in 5D. So you see, math and physics operate differently depending on the state of consciousness that you're creating from. Yet none of this is going to be available to you if you're focused on beliefs of limitation. So can you jump timelines, or can the world jump timelines? Well, yeah, you could kind of look at it that way. But if you're thinking of it in reference to the theory that's called multiverse, where every picosecond billions of new physical worlds split off and go their own merry way, you're really kind of getting way off track. The people who considered that idea were tapping into the variations of probability within the quantum field of wholeness. But none of it becomes physical until there is enough prolonged, focused attention on something within the quantum field, which can then cause a physical manifestation to coagulate into a reality that you can experience. See, for every thought, choice, and decision anyone makes, there are at least 200,000 possible outcomes, and that's for every single person in the universe, in accordance with the life purpose agreements that they have with their individual souls for the incarnation that they're currently focused in. So there are mega trillions of possibilities. If you ask about timelines from a 3D point of view, you're kind of barking up the wrong tree. There seems to be such a tendency to look outside of the self for redemptions, let's say, to the stress factors that you have in life. It's kind of like a bad habit, and it becomes addictive, because we are the ones who make life complicated, and we typically do it with externalization. In other words, when the world does this for me, then I will be fine. But the bigger picture is that you create your own personal experiences within the world, depending on what you believe is possible. However, there is a difference between believing and knowing. Believing is wanting to be it, and knowing is actually being it, even if it hasn't manifested in physical reality yet. And you won't find it outside of yourself. Everything is within you. The door to enlightenment only swings one way, inward. And that's how you find yourself. Seeing the light requires going inside, letting go of the monkey mind and the self-serving ego, kind of like surrendering and allowing the perception that you are somebody to shift to the field of all possibilities, which means you would be nobody. And then, from that position of nothingness, you become aware that you are actually everything and everybody. This is what a fifth dimensional state of consciousness does for you. Realizing that when you remove your focus from something and consequently your energy no longer supports it is what allows you to create something completely different. So you shift to a new experience by placing your attention elsewhere. But you have to totally release the past so that you can effectively fall into the state of wholeness and consequently be the elegant creator that you really are. One of the big bummers of 3D is feeling trapped, which is a result of not realizing you have emotional addictions to things you really don't want anymore. You might check out the Letting Go CD to help with this. This is why self-realization is perhaps the most important thing that you can ever do for yourself. So what's the bottom line? It's time to take ownership for your life because the world is on the verge of a huge shift. You can expect to see a lot of changes over the next few weeks and months. And if you don't want to be left behind, it's time to wake up to who you really are. Take back your power and pay attention to working from the inside out. Hey, much love to everyone. Until next time, namaste.